Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not
We will bring the jury.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Dati mihi Anglican, please. Verbus Latina.
That's literally not true.
Is that correct?
I didn't ask you to interrupt me. Oh, for crumb's sake.
All right, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Welcome, happy Monday afternoon to you. As I see everyone is coming in and taking their seats. Thank you, welcome. Greeners, my friend. We tried to give you a wrench and you got a shield instead. I'm not sure. I guess that makes you part of like the Captain America Marvel team. I don't know what it does, but welcome, Greeners. Good to have you here. We're going to be going back to court here in just a minute as we're getting set to... there we go. Everyone's getting set. Everyone's standing. I think we're waiting for the jury. Maybe we're waiting for... can't see who we're waiting for. All right, maybe the judge. Let's go. Just left the office and cancel all calls. Clever name, good. We're going to have your full undivided attention. Hopefully, Shield's the new wrench. Our mods are superheroes. They never consulted me before they took the wrench away. I'm just, I don't know. I wanted the wrench. All right, what does Paul have? Is that a tissue or something? Don't know. Let's see. Achoo. Bless you. I think we're just waiting on the judge now.
All rise. Superior Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Mark Lemieux presiding.
Good afternoon. Please be seated.
Good afternoon.
Have a good lunch.
We did, Judge.
Pretty solid.
Moore had you back up quick, didn't you? She doesn't get around. You should see what she does to me. Yikes. All right. All kidding aside, we're back on the record. The State of New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro. It's indictment 19-020283. Can I have the appearances of counsel for the record?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Assistant Prosecutor Nicole Wallace on behalf of the state.
Good afternoon, Judge Chris Decker for the state.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Monica Pascal on behalf of Mr. Paul Caneiro, who's present.
Forgot, Greeters, you'd get access to the view.
Okay. We're all back. Our witnesses are back. Thank you, sir. Prosecutor, when you're ready.
Thank you. Dr. Ricks, a few more questions. Now, with
Still
respect to
cross-examination.
that brother that you added to the PowerPoint presentation, the second brother, you didn't reference him or that brother in either of the two reports that you wrote previously, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you didn't put him on there because of a specific reason, correct? Other than just to demonstrate shared alleles?
Correct. The shared alleles are an issue in the reference samples, and it was brought up, and so I added it.
Okay. Now, also in that, in your initial report, you talked about, I think, the belief you had that the victims and the defendant all shared a domicile. Is that accurate?
Not completely. I didn't have all of the reports at that point, but there were, I guess, 2 domiciles involved, and my assumption was that there was 1, but there were 2, I believe.
Okay. So you just didn't have all the information at that point, though?
I did not.
Now, you talked about earlier how you never actually physically saw the jeans or the scarf or the gloves, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and you never handled them or touched them or anything like that?
Not.
And however, you saw in some of those photographs that there's visible blood staining on the jeans, correct?
We would call those red-brown stains because that's what they look like, and without doing a test for the body fluid, we don't know what they are because we don't. So they're called RBS in laboratory slang, and until they're screened one way or another for body fluids, that's how they have to remain.
And ultimately, they were tested by New Jersey State Police as well as the boating lab, correct?
They were screened, that's correct.
Okay, and ultimately, there were presumptive tests for blood, correct?
They were presumptive tests, that's also correct.
And then ultimately, there were a bunch of samples that were taken from those jeans, correct?
Yes.
And then there were
a bunch of samples, some samples.
Some samples, I don't get specific, but there were some samples taken from those jeans which displayed visible blood stain. Okay.
They were RBS, and the screening came back positive for the presumptive tests.
And ultimately, those two labs both produced reliable results that there was blood from Sophia Caneiro on those jeans?
Certainly her profile was identified, and they came back from the presumptively test-positive tests.
And then there was likelihood ratios given by Bodie, correct?
Absolutely.
And they related to Sophia Caneiro?
They looked at the ratio of the two propositions, and more likely than not, on most of the tested samples, the proposition that would have her profile was favored.
With very high likelihood ratios, correct?
The likelihood ratios we discussed in there were a big number.
Okay. And you, just to be clear, you said those results were reliable, correct?
Correct.
And also Jesse Caneiro, there was a sample tested by the New Jersey State Police, correct?
Yes, I can't remember exactly what number it was, but there was another almost single source sample, correct?
Ultimately, they determined on that sample 6-1-4-1
right.
that Jesse Caneiro was the source of the DNA from those genes, correct?
He would not be excluded as the source, is the technical term.
Redirect.
Just some questions, Doctor.
Be quick.
Obviously, the prosecutor asked you before lunch about the population of the human population of Earth being 8 billion, and asked you to make a comparison of that number to some of the numbers that we saw today. If the population of the Earth is 8 billion, but the national debt is 3 trillion.
What?
Does that make the national debt a truer fact than the population of the Earth?
No. Those two which you just gave me are not relevant to each other. And
apples and orangutans.
The population of the Earth is not relevant to either the random man not excluded statistic, and it's not relevant to the likelihood ratio. They're different measures of different things, and that's just the way it is.
Does the likelihood ratio tell us the ultimate truth about who contributed to a sample?
It does not.
Does it do a frequency analysis to see how often we would expect to find the result in the population?
That's not what the likelihood ratio is. That's what the random man approach statistic is, but that's not a likelihood ratio.
Is the likelihood ratio more about comparison than it is about frequency?
It's not about frequency at all. And there is a comparison performed, and it is a comparison between two hypotheses or two propositions, so that part is correct. But you're not comparing profiles in the likelihood ratio, you're comparing the probabilities of two propositions or hypotheses together.
Okay. Is that how you would explain the difference between I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is that how you would explain the difference between likelihood ratio and random match, or how would you go about explaining that difference?
Okay, so the random N is a frequency. How often do you expect to see a certain event? Okay? And the likelihood ratio is when you're comparing two options. Which one is more probable than the other? It doesn't tell me how often each one of those propositions are going to happen at all. You're telling, or you're choosing the two propositions, which one has a higher probability. There's no frequency in it at all. The other is, how often am I going to see it? They're not the same thing at all. It's not an easy concept, either one, but they're really different.
The prosecutor asked you a number of times whether the voting results were reliable. Do you remember that?
I do.
Is reliability the equivalent of ultimate truth in terms of the conclusions that will be reached?
I'm not sure what ultimate truth is. The reliability speaks to what conclusions you might be able to draw, but it's not the same as the conclusion itself.
In order to generate a likelihood ratio for Paul in any of these samples that we looked at today, did Bodie need, as a preliminary requisite matter, Paul's reference sample?
Absolutely. Without it, you can't do the star mix calculation because you can't generate the two propositions or the two options to understand the mixture.
Even if we concede the reliability of the major contributor, can it still be appropriate to ask questions about the reliability of what star mix determines the minor contributor to be?
So the reliability might speak to, did the program work properly? Did the program have enough data to give you a result to work properly? We're still not, that's not the conclusion that you might draw from the likelihood ratio result. The more reliable the analysis, maybe the stronger conclusion you can bring. I think that's fair. But the reliability doesn't speak to the conclusions that are going to be drawn, but it says maybe that those data can be considered appropriate.
Just to go back to something the prosecutor showed you, would it be possible to have this table, and I'm going to show slide 10 of the presentation.
D150.
D150.
I'm with you.
When the prosecutor showed you this, the prosecutor was asking you about the purple circles. Do you remember that?
I do.
And the prosecutor was saying, well, could those purple circles, they can't be from Jennifer or Jesse or Sophia or Keith or Paul.
That's correct.
And the you were basically asked a question and you were brought to an answer where you were saying it's possible that those purple circles could be from Corey, right?
I don't know where they're from. I know from the provided documentation that there's another sibling of Paul and Keith Caneiro.
But the thing about the sibling is not that the sibling, if they're related, is not that they would have the purple circles showing that they're different. The problem with the sibling, am I correct, is that they might have the green circle to show that they can't be distinguished at a certain point of comparison from somebody else who had a reference sample.
They are certainly going to share some of the green circles if they're really a full sib. There's no question about that. They might have an indicator allele, for want of a term, But they don't have to, considering the family members we have here. So the purple could come from a SIB, a full SIB, or it could come from an unknown contributor. Contributors, right?
But all along these points of comparison, when we're talking about D3S1358 or VWA or TPOX, all these locations where this measuring occurs, at any one of these, Corey could share alleles with Paul.
Absolutely.
Corey could share both alleles with Paul at a given location.
Objection, Judge, leading. It is leading. You can ask it differently. You can ask it differently.
Could Corey share both alleles at any of these locations with Paul?
Certainly.
Could Corey share one allele at any of these locations with Paul?
You're talking about the entire list of loci that are tested? Absolutely. He's going to share minimum half and most likely more if we consider the comparison between Paul Caneiro and Keith Caneiro. We've already talked about their 70 or so similar, identical profiles.
Did we see that one of the issues with submitted evidence samples today is that we do not often get a complete profile for all the potential contributors on it?
Partial profiles are very common, not unusual at all.
And when we get a partial profile, does that mean we don't have all the information?
That's the definition. You're missing allele data from one, generally more loci that are tested.
And so the less information we have, the greater impact potentially that overlap between siblings could have.
If you're referring to the less data you have, the more likely that the likelihood ratio calculated from a new contributor might change your conclusions. That answer is yes.
Okay. And if we had Corey as a reference sample, that we would expect that to change our conclusions overall that we saw today.
I don't know if we'd expect to, but it could, and particularly when the likelihood ratio is less than a full profile's worth.
Would you agree with me that at these points that the prosecutor showed to you today from the conclusion table, that if we had Corey's sample, it is possible that he could have generated a higher LR, a higher likelihood ratio at that same location than Paul?
Objection, Judge. Sustained. That's speculation.
Without knowing Corey's reference sample, is there any way to determine whether he'd be a higher or lower likelihood ratio at any of those tested items?
There's no way to do it without the actual profile in hand.
I'm just going to move up on this presentation, back to previous slides. On this allele chart here, this is the chart that you color-coded for ease of use. And then the right portion, we see an empty column. There's no color in there.
Correct.
And above that, the name Corey Caneiro.
That's correct. That's what's on this chart.
You never had obviously you never used a reference sample for Corey. Did the laboratory have that sample?
I can't speak to the laboratory. I can speak to the documentation that was provided, and there was clearly the discussion of another sibling, but I did not see a reference profile, certainly not from the Bodie lab, and I don't recall seeing one from the New Jersey Police lab.
Okay. And again, looking at slide 2, this was created based on the information that you had from the available reference samples.
Correct. It's the same chart as what's in the Bodie report, except here I've tried to color code the individual allele values just trying to show how they're shared across a row. And again, without a comparator, I don't know how that's going to compare with the existing results. I just don't have them.
The prosecutor asked you before lunch, there was evidence that the clothes were charred. The prosecutor asked you, can the DNA tell us about whether a person put those items there to try to destroy them? Do you remember that?
I do.
And I think your answer was that the DNA can't tell us that.
It can't.
Can the DNA tell us whether somebody put those items there as a plant to try and frame someone else?
No information.
Objection.
I want to see counsel.
I missed what the objection was, but judge says front and center right now. Everyone up. That's a judicial displeasure if I've ever heard one. We're up to 98 now. Defense is trying to make this into something it's not, creating doubt where none exists. Selena K gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Selena, for your generosity. Good to have you here. Welcome. The DNA expert is done with all of your theories. I think the state used him for all that he was good for, and defense, I was not paying attention. No, I'm following the story on Twitter. Bailiff has headphone hair. Hey, that's the thing. I permanently have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to strike that last question. Remember the eraser? Take it out, use it, and then we can ask the next question. Go ahead.
I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Anything else, prosecutor?
Just real quick, Judge. Mr. Murray just asked you some questions about how we talked about the reliability of certain major profiles, correct?
You used the word reliably a great deal.
You did, correct? You agreed.
You did and I did.
Now, you agreed with me with those major profiles, but there was also, I would say at least, I think there's 3 profiles where you agreed with me when we were talking about the minor, correct?
I don't recall how many, but there were some. I would agree with that.
Okay, so E01A1, that was the inside of the jeans of the knee, correct?
So I'm sorry.
The first one on that
chart. E01, yes.
Yep, E01. And you agreed that 3.7 quintillion likelihood ratio relating to Mr. Paul Caneiro was reliable, correct?
That's correct.
And then under E03A1, the LR for Mr. Caneiro was 45 quadrillion, correct?
That's also reliable and in a way of attempting to draw conclusions from the profiling data.
Okay. And then lastly, E06B1, that's 49 billion, the LR, sorry, for Mr. Paul Caneiro, correct?
That's the number in the chart, absolutely.
And you indicated that was reliable, correct?
It's a number that is there. The issue is not whether, I tried to be specific about the reliability comment, about whether that's the software's accurate calculation and or whether that's what conclusions can be reached from such a number. And that's a different perspective. I think the number is probably accurately as possible calculated given the samples and the family. How much weight should be given to that is a different question than the reliability of the software.
Okay. I'm not asking you about the reliability of the software. I think that kind of stands for itself, correct?
For the moment, it is.
For the moment. I'm asking you whether that 49 billion likelihood ratio, as it relates to Paul Caneiro, whether that is a reliable result.
I think at best it's marginal. If we looked at the number of loci which are at the highest probability, we would get a better view of what to think of that number, because the number gets big very quickly, even from a small number of loci that are tested. And that's the issue we have when the LRs are not a quadrillion or a quintillion or a nonillion.
Gotcha. That number, or that sample, falls within the Bodie validation, and it's a number well above 20,000 or 40,000, correct?
It is.
Okay, so it's within the context of Bodie's validation, like it's...
That we can't argue.
Okay. And then I asked you whether or not the result was reliable, and
I'm hedging because I think that number is a hedge number.
Just want to show you what's been marked as S503 for identification.
Sure, thank
you. Now, this is a transcript from a prior proceeding, correct?
I assume that's what it was when you came up.
So when we go to page 2, it says that you testified, correct?
That's my name.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to draw your attention to page 80, and we're talking about EO6B, correct?
Correct.
And then I said the results issue with respect to contributor 2 for EO6B, that would be reliable, and you said what?
It would fall within the validation of the Bodie laboratory, which is just what we agreed to.
Exactly. Okay. So then I said the LR for C2, the lower LR would be 49 million, correct? You said 49 billion with a B. You corrected me, correct?
That's what it says here.
Okay, and then I said billion, sorry, I underspoke, and you said no, B. And then I said 49 billion, so that's a reliable result. And you said what?
I said, I'm just going to read from the transcript. It says, it falls within the Bodie validation, and it's a number well above 20,000 or 40,000 we've been discussing.
And I said, is it reliable? Or actually, someone else, the court specifically said, is it reliable or not? And you said what?
I said yes.
Thank you, sir. Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you.
You sit down, sir.
Your Honor.
Can I just see counsel real fast?
Judge calls another audible. Wants to see what the schedule looks like, I think. What's coming up. Whew. Got a little heated at the end, but I think we've sorted it out. We're done with the DNA and we learned nothing new. That's the summary of today. We covered all the DNA. We learned nothing new. Paula MCOG says, I'm glad to be back at home where I can follow along with y'all. Best chat around 33 months. Paula, thank you very much.
With an issue outside your presence. Who can use all these brakes?
Uh-oh. Are we going to have a voir dire of the defendant to see if he's going to testify? Is defense done with their case in chief? Is this the end? Are they going to rest?
Okay, we're outside. Everyone be seated. We're outside the presence of the jury. Ms. Massalone, the floor is yours.
May we approach?
Oh, you want to do a period? Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, come on. You kicked the jury out so we could listen. What are we grabbing? They're objecting to what just happened. Prosecution just reached over and grabbed the transcripts, I think, from that they used in the recross of the witness. So it sounds like it's related to this last witness. Let's see if we can get a summation here when this is all up. If the judge can let us in. They didn't do JOA last week. I think they skipped the JOA. They just elected not to waste their time and ours on it. I wish we could hear this. Is JOA different from JOI? Judgment of acquittal is JOA. I don't know what JOI is. Ivan, it'll be our little secret. We won't say a word. Yeah, I call party foul. That was Why would he kick the jury out and then do it at the bench? I don't know. I don't think anything has happened here in the last half hour of the trial since lunch that would be so detrimental to the pursuit of justice that it would require mistrial, even if something occurred that was contrary to a pre-trial ruling. I imagine that there could be an argument made that the door was opened with how detailed the defense got into everything. So we'll see. Maybe the judge will fill us in.
I was told counsel wanted to see me at sidebar.
I'm checking for an update on Nancy Guthrie. Just 1 second. I've not seen an update from the authorities yet. Last one was yesterday. Get all new mail. There we go. Although I did call Sweetwater, my sales tech, Charlton, and he gave me information I need to buy something different than what I was looking at. Can I have the burner number, please? There's the burner number right there. That goes straight to me. The buzzing sound is coming from the courtroom, so the fact that we're hearing that means that we're basically muted on their end. Do we need to run to Sweetwater and pick up goodies? Oh my goodness. It is so good that I don't live next to them. No, I told you I've got a gig where it's actually not till middle of March, right before my birthday. I've got a gig where we're doing a conference, and I've always used a wireless handheld mic on a little microphone clip attached to a lectern for that gig, and I don't like it because handheld mics, people are scared of them. They're big microphones, and they just shy away from them. So getting good audio, getting somebody to be right up next to the mic and speaking into it it's a nightmare. And so I'm constantly trying to crank the gain up as high as I can to get good volume, and then I start getting feedback from the overhead speakers. I've decided to get what they call it, a flexible gooseneck mic. It's one of those little tiny ones that you might see at a conference center or a church. I'm going to use that because it's smaller profile and people are more used to moving that to their mouth. But I can't make it wireless because it needs phantom power. And so I was going to run a long cable. It's like 200-foot run. I don't want to run XLR cable, so I wanted to switch to Ethernet, which is much cheaper. So we've got the adapters for that, but they won't pass phantom power, so I have to put a phantom power injector after the adapters. And I just need to figure out the order to put those things in. So it's all going to work now. News announced that no money has been put in the ransom account. Yeah. There are a couple people live streaming out of Tucson right now. We're keeping up with Brian Enton and a few others. I'll zone out. No, everybody else listens intently and takes notes for the test afterwards. Purple coconut. Did anyone else just hear Charlie Brown teacher? As we've seen with those mics in court, you may have to tell them to pull them closer. Yeah, but the difference is with a very low profile small mic, it's about the diameter of a pencil. It's not as intimidating as a big, huge handheld, like stick mic that's right up in your face. And it also has a supercardioid pickup pattern, which will help with off-access rejection. So, nerd moment, but that's what I'm going for. There's a petition going around for Ivan and AWOL to be mods. I missed that one. Can someone time out Denisha? No, just kidding. Just kidding, Denisha. Is tonight the second deadline for the announcement note? Sometime on Monday. I don't know if it's Monday night or if it was sometime on Monday. But yes, there was a second deadline in the Nancy Guthrie case that was set for today. I will say that the family does look more... They don't look as frantic as they did in the early videos, their latest response video. I'm wondering if they have more information than they're letting on right now. So let's see. Nancy Guthrie. Just looking. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a press conference in the next 24 hours. Could be paid any minute now. Long sidebar. This is defense wanting to bring this one up. They probably talked to the judge earlier, and the judge knew it would be a long one, so he dismissed the jury so they could just relax and get a break while this went on. He thought it was going to be an open court, but defense decided to do it under the privacy of the sidebar rules, where we can't hear anything. So WRGA News is reporting that Nancy Guthrie's alleged Bitcoin ransom could be paid in minutes. And I think it's somewhere in the $5 to $6 million range was what they were requesting. Four hours, 50 minutes until the new deadline. So it's 5 o'clock on Monday. They've said they're willing to pay it and that they will pay, but as far as we can tell, it has not been paid yet. We don't know if there's been a proof of life. We know there's been a message received, a message that's come back to them, but I'm not sure if there's proof of life in there. We're back. Are we bringing the jury back in? Just lost all of our audio. Got really quiet. Defense doesn't look too happy. It doesn't look like they won. Still nothing.
More. More.
Jury's coming. Is the jury coming back in, or is this? Nobody stood up for the jury, did they? Trying to find if anybody has better audio. Nobody does. It's all quiet in the courtroom. I have no idea what's going on here. We managed to escape without acquiring a new friend, but it was close. My kids want to go back every Saturday just to pet the cats. Gigi, I think I read a book about that. What happens is the lemon tree grows inside you, I think, if I remember correctly. These pet stores have the shelters on Saturdays. They come in and do an adoption thing. That's where when the pets are there, they're only there for adoption. Other than the fish, they have fish, parakeets, and some reptiles. The rest are all adoptions. If they objected to the transcript after the witness was dismissed, wouldn't that be late objection, therefore overruled? Probably, but it might have been an objection, and then they might have asked to put something on the record regarding their objection. So that might have been what they did. They're like, well, let's just finish this up. We're done. Then we'll dismiss the jury. Then we'll let you put it on the record. So it could have been something like that, where it was timely but not going to change anything. Have a cat cafe nearby? Not that I'm aware of. We have a squirrel lounge in our backyard, but still wondering, what is phantom power? Phantom power is when you see this microphone right here? This cord that plugs into the back of it is called an XLR cable. It has 3 little pins. This is a dynamic mic, so it doesn't require any power to run. But a condenser microphone does require voltage fed into the microphone to pick up sound. And so you have to feed what's called phantom power that runs in the same cable to power the microphone. Most mixers like my mixers can send that phantom power down the cable just fine. But I was converting from this cable to like an internet type cable because it's cheaper and I can do a long run with that without a problem. And the adapters wouldn't pass phantom power, so I need to buy something else would do it. Long story, but it'll work out. Phantom power is what I think I have over my family. Phantom power is what Greeners has. I think Greeners is busy looking up all your profiles and keeping notes on who the bad people are as far as timeouts. He's exploring the limits of the powers. Look at fostering military members' animal temporarily when SM deploys. That's a cool idea, but my kids would become so attached to the animal they wouldn't want to give it back. And I think the original owner would have a problem with that. I don't know what is going on here. I'm not sure if they're printing something, they're making copies, they're waiting for somebody. Let's see if we can do some little research here. I'm not seeing any breaking news regarding this trial. A couple of my kids have been a dog sitter. Okay, defense is back. Just waiting. We are still hoping to hear what happened here. Like the cat idea, aside from the fact that some in our family are super sensitive, allergic. Like if one of my kids went to a friend's house and they owned a cat and they never pet it, and then that child comes back home, rides in the car with us, gets a ride home, and then my next child gets in that car, his eyes will swell up. It's that bad. You just won't be able to see. What are we waiting for? There's been some sort of a hold after the defense asked for a sidebar. The judge granted the sidebar. It was fairly long. They finished with the witness after the sidebar with almost no questions. And then defense asked to approach after the jury was dismissed. They took a long time doing it, and now we're sort of just waiting for audio or something to come back at this point. Get a pet goat. I'd be okay with a pygmy goat, but it's going to be an outdoor goat. I don't do picking up after goats in the house. And can you imagine what they do to your furniture? They chew on everything. Paul's just chilling there. What if the judge has said he needs to step out and make a decision? If that's the case, it could be a pretty big request, even up to and including mistrial. You need 3 goats. Maybe the goat would think it's a dog, and you could have 2 dogs and a goat. Let's take a look at who's here in the courtroom today. Just trying to see if we have any familiar faces, somebody who's testified. Oh, there's somebody. Waves and says hello, then sits on the other side. There must not be assigned seating here. The bailiff's falling asleep back there. His eyes are becoming heavy. slowly becoming aware people are looking at him and looks around, sees who it was. I'm not sure I want a goat with diapers. That just seems like a never-ending job. Even children grow out of them, but the goat sounds like it doesn't. Rabbits are great pets. They are. We house sit one of our friends' rabbits one time, and then it climbed on my box of labels for shipping books when I was selling a lot of books on Amazon, and it peed on all of them. That did not make me happy. Fish are calming. We've had fish. My last house, we had a greenhouse where we ran an aquaponics system. That was, we had a lot of fish. Probably over 100. Can't tell you what breeds of fish because statute of limitations hasn't expired yet, and it might not have been entirely encouraged by the local government. Pet rats, that's a no. It's a hard no. Dr. Seuss has a great book, What Pet Should We Get? Our neighbors, when I had fish, our neighbors, some friends of ours, had a rabbit. And the rabbits do like to chew through things. The rabbit chewed through the power cord for like a heat lamp or something. And sadly, it passed away as a result, but it also caught the house on fire and the whole place burned down. They lost their home and the rabbit because of the rabbit. So a little exercise from Paul. Headphones go back on. Looks like the judge is back. He might have done some research on whatever it is they've requested. Yeah, that's an upcharge. Personally, get a pet snake. I do like snakes. I've had many a snake. Never a officially pet snake, like purchased from a reptile dealer or something. I've always just caught them in the wild. One of my first ones being a baby rattlesnake, which my mom would not let me keep. Katrina, yes, that's exactly what happened. It was very sad. I'm really curious about this sidebar. Wonder if Paul's going to take the stand. I don't think he will. I think that would be a very dumb move in his situation. Never get a ferret. What about a mink? Have you guys watched The Mink Man on YouTube? This guy who raises mink and uses them to clean out rat infestations at farms and houses and things. It's pretty cool. The buzz did get louder, so somebody's playing with something on their end. Do not get a pet au pair. Thank you. Thanks, Shanks. I appreciate that. Au pairs are definitely out of the running. Should get chickens. We've halfway built a chicken coop and then just didn't proceed with it. Did you get a pet for the kids? No. Ferrets can run cables. Just tie a little string on their collar and run it through the walls. I had a mink come up to me and and beg for fish while I was fishing on a river one time. I would say it's a wild mink, but I happen to know that was a mink farm, and by mink farm I'm talking about, for the fur, upstream a couple miles, and some activists infiltrated the farm and let all the mink go. And so the mink population in that area exploded, and they still thrive in that area. There's a lot of mink, and so when you're up there fishing, they'll run along the banks, and when they see you fishing, they'll look for your fish on a stringer, and they'll steal it. But mink's sort of like a ferret. I also had a white ferret one time, just in the wild. Pet rock. Oh, I'm liking this one. The idea of a monkey is quite appealing, especially when you think that you can train them to load the dishwasher or whatever it is. I don't know, do little tasks for you. But I hear they're stinky and also more difficult to potty train. I don't know what we're doing here. Let's see. Did you snatch it and make a hat? I did not. Had a monkey when I was a child. Do not recommend. What about a sugar glider? What do you guys think? At least sugar gliders are cute, right? I'm thinking on the lower maintenance side, I would look at a sugar glider as a pet. On the upper maintenance, I know it's not a pet, but I'd like to get into falconry. Maybe have a American kestrel or something. Keep it high maintenance. They're too attached, John. Sugar gliders are fun. I had 5. What lives for ages? Is that a sugar glider? They're nocturnal. Let's see if they'll tell us here.
Can you bring the jury back out?
Jury's coming back.
One of the jury's in the bathroom.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe the judge will explain everything. We don't know what it was. It was all done at sidebar. No speaking objections. But it was a lengthy series of sidebars and breaks. A sugar glider is like a nocturnal flying squirrel. But smaller and cuter. Less rat-like and more monkey-like. Oh, here comes the jury.
Sorry about the delay. There was a legal issue that I needed to address. I've addressed that issue. We're ready to proceed. The defense can call their next witness.
Judge, the defense would call Katie Caneiro.
Katie Caneiro?
Just watch your step. If you could just put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. You can be seated. Once you're comfortable, you can state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please.
Right. Caitlin Caneiro, Caneiro.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pastalone, when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and explain your relationship to Mr. Paul Caneiro?
Yeah, I'm Katie Caneiro, and I'm Paul Caneiro's oldest daughter.
And are you currently employed?
Yeah. I'm an ER nurse at a local hospital.
And who else is in your immediate family?
It's me, my mom, Susan, and my sister, Marissa.
And is your mom, Susan, and your dad, Paul, are they still married?
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit more about who else is in your family. Outside of your immediate family, which members of your family were you closest with?
My Aunt Jen, my Uncle Keith, and their kids, Jesse and Sophia.
And your Uncle Keith is your dad's brother?
Yeah, he's his younger brother.
And younger by how much?
About a year.
So, in addition to Keith being your dad's brother, is there another brother or another uncle that you have?
Yeah, Corey Caneiro.
And who was Corey married to back in November of 2018?
Elisa Bertacci Caneiro.
Okay. And for approximately how long were they together for?
Objection. Relevance.
Just how long she's known her, Judge.
Allow it, Judge.
Yeah, it's not really relevant, but go ahead.
My whole life.
Okay.
Now, I want to focus a little more closely on the family dynamics. You mentioned that you were closest to your Uncle Keith and his family. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I looked at my Aunt Jen and my Uncle Keith as like second parents. Growing up, we did everything together, and it wasn't really like an extended family. It was one big family, I guess you would say. So when I was younger, we would go on vacations about once a year together, whether it was Disney World or Mexico or Puerto Rico. And then as I got older, I got my license, so I was able to like go to their house more and visit my cousins, which was nice. But as I got even older, like after 21, we would go to happy hour together, out to dinner and everything. But we spent so much time together, I would see them all the time.
Did you spend holidays together?
Oh yeah, we spent every holiday, whether it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day. We did Greek Easter every year. So every holiday we spent together.
What about birthdays?
Birthdays, yeah, my whole life. Whether it was my birthday, my sister's, the kids' parties, or family event, like birthday parties, but all 8 of us would get together and celebrate.
And how often would you personally see them on average?
At least once a week.
Katie, I'm going to approach you with what's been previously marked as D1-424 through D1-430. If I may approach.
You can.
Katie, I'm showing you what's been marked as D1-424. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes.
Is that a family photo?
Yeah, we were in Mexico.
Okay. And D1-425, do you recognize everyone in that photo?
Yes.
I'm just going to ask that you do the same for 1-426. You recognize the people in that photo?
Yeah.
And 1-427. And 1-428.
Yep.
And 1-429. Yes?
Yes.
And
sorry.
1-430.
Yes.
Okay. Now these photos I showed you, did they accurately depict photos of your family?
Yeah.
And you recognize all the individuals in these photos?
Yes.
Okay, permission to publish?
Do we have a time frame of when those pictures were taken?
Just generally speaking, what would you say the time frame of these photos were?
Most of them are after 2008 or 9, but there's one, I was probably 13.
Is that the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of those pictures are around 2008 and 2000?
No, they were after that time because
After 2008?
yeah, Jesse and Sophia were born.
Okay, so can you just give us
Okay, so I guess after like 2014 to 17.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to show what's first been marked as D1-424.
Here comes the photo album.
And was this the oldest photo in the bunch?
Yeah, this is when I was younger, before they had kids.
And where was this photo taken?
We were at a hibachi restaurant in Mexico.
Okay. And who's going from, let's say, left to right, who's in the photo?
It's my dad, me, my Aunt Jen standing. She's touching my Uncle Keith, and then my mom, and then my sister Marissa.
And I think, did you mention that, how often would you vacation with Keith and Jennifer and eventually their children?
At least once a year. It was, yeah, at least once a year. And then as I got older, we would go more places together.
And I'm going to next show what's been marked as D1-425. Can you tell us who's in this photo from left to right?
It's my mom, Susan, and we have Jesse, and then my dad, and he's holding Sophia. And that's for my mom's birthday, which would be in the summer.
Okay, this was your mom's birthday?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, like, approximately what year that was taken? It can be approximate.
I want to say at least 2012.
And I'm going to next show what's been marked as D1-426. And do you recognize who's in that photo?
Yeah, it's my dad and Jesse, and this is my dad's birthday at our house. Jesse loved birthday cake, so he would always be in the front.
You said this was your dad's birthday?
Yeah, my dad's birthday.
Okay. And whose house is this?
Mine.
All right. And now I'm going to show what's been marked as D1-427. Okay. And who's in this photo?
My dad and Sophia. And this is also at my house. Looks like it's Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah.
And D1-428. Can you tell us who's in this photo?
My dad and Sophia are in the front of the photo. And then it's the Pritchett's, Molly, and Sophie. And then they have a friend that is with, and I can't see who she's with.
And when you say the Pritchetts, are you referring to Stacy and Jim's children?
Yes.
Who we heard from? Okay.
And this is at my pool.
Okay. And is there anything that you want to explain to the jury about just like the circumstances under which, was this one of the barbecues or something else?
Yeah, this was just a random barbecue that we had. It wasn't like a holiday or anything. But we used to always like to swim on my dad like that, so we would hold his shoulders and he would go under, and either we'd go under with him or, I don't know, Sophia would have at that time, but she would have floated at the top with him.
Okay. And I'm going to show what's been marked as D1-429. And who's in that photo?
My dad and Jesse.
And what are they doing?
They're on one of the, I don't know what exactly it is, but a machine that my uncle had for his lawn. So they're at my uncle's house.
Like a round mower?
Like a lawnmower?
And is this at your uncle's house?
Yeah, my Uncle Keith's.
Okay.
A machine he had for his lawn.
And lastly, I'm going to show what's been marked as D1-430. What can you tell us about this photo?
This is my dad and Jesse, and it looks like they're building a battleship together. And this is also at my house.
Thank you. Now, obviously, I think, were those the only photos ever taken of the family?
No.
Okay. Was that just a sample
Yeah.
of a few? Mm-hmm. All right. Did your family take a lot of photos?
Yeah.
And now, you mentioned that you would see your Keith and Jennifer and their family on average maybe once a week, right?
Yeah, as a whole. I would see them once a week, but I'd probably see my uncle more times a week.
Okay, and what about, to your knowledge, what about your dad, Paul? How often would he see Keith and Keith see Paul? How often would they see each other?
Almost every day.
And what about their level of communication? To your knowledge, how often would they communicate?
Every day.
And how do you know this? What's your basis of knowledge?
I lived with my dad most of my life, so I was there for it.
And were you, what are some of the things, to your knowledge, that they would do when they would see each other?
My uncle really liked to eat, so they would go out to eat a lot, whether it was lunch or dinner. But he would come over our house, or my dad would go over his house to help him with stuff, and we'd just hang out.
Was everything always pre-planned, or was sometimes it unannounced?
Yeah, my uncle would show up if he was free. He would, even with me, he would just be like, hey, are you around? I'm near the area, let's go out to lunch.
And the level of contact between your dad and Keith, was it consistent as far as you knew for?
Yeah, my whole life they were like that.
And you mentioned that they're very close personally. What about, are you aware of the businesses that they own together?
Yeah, they own 2 businesses together, Square One and EcoStar.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Approximately how long were they in business together?
My whole life.
And to your knowledge, did your dad and Keith often communicate specifically about the business?
Yes.
And during the course of the communications that they had, did you ever have the opportunity to observe any disagreements between them?
I mean, they were brothers, so they would fight like brothers, but they would work it out themselves.
When they had a disagreement, did it ever affect the family in any way?
No. If they were having a disagreement earlier that morning and we all had like plans to go out to dinner or something, it wouldn't change the fact nothing would be canceled. We'd still all go and everything was fine.
Did your families go out to lunch or dinner often?
Yeah.
And just briefly, with respect to Corey, how did he fit into the family dynamic, as far as you know?
I mean, he's their younger brother, but he would come around occasionally. It really just depended on what he had going on in his life at that time.
And did Corey have any ownership in the businesses?
No.
Now, focusing on 2018 specifically, just to orient ourselves. In 2018, how old were you?
I was 26.
And how old was your sister?
23.
What about your dad?
51.
And so that would make Keith?
50.
And how old was Corey?
He was the same age as my Aunt Jen, so 45.
And focusing on 2018 also for a moment, we heard a little bit about this. Were your parents experiencing any marital issues?
Yeah.
Despite that, did you still do things as a family?
Yeah, my dad would still cook us dinner or lunch, whatever it was. We would still eat together as a family. We'd still go out to dinner as a family. We'd all hang out still as a family. It was more between them.
So as far as the family dynamic generally as a family, did it change anything?
No.
Now, talking about, we've also heard a little bit about your dad's room.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, 2018, was your dad essentially sleeping in a separate room?
Yeah, he was in the guest bedroom.
Okay. Notwithstanding that, to your knowledge, did your dad still use the master bedroom for any reason?
Yeah, all his clothes were in the master bedroom. All his medications were in the nightstand next to his side of the bed. He would use the shower in the master bathroom, and occasionally he would still sleep in there if he wasn't feeling well or anything like that.
And in the summer of 2018, specifically, the family dynamic, we just talked about it. Where was it the same?
Yeah.
And in the summer of 2018, where was Corey living?
My Aunt Jen and Uncle Heath's basement.
And how do you know that?
Like I said before, I'd be over their house all the time, so I firsthand saw that he was staying in the basement.
And what was the approximate time frame?
I want to say from like June of 2018 to September of 2018.
And by the way, did your dad ever live in Keith's basement?
No.
Okay. Were there a couple times throughout your life where your dad had another living location or stayed outside of the home temporarily?
Yeah, twice.
Okay. So let's talk about the first time. How old were you the first time?
I was still in high school. I don't remember exactly what age, but...
And at that point, where was your dad staying?
He had rented a place in Manasquan.
Okay. And how long did that last?
Maybe like a couple months, but he really just used it to sleep. He was over every day.
He was over your house every day?
Yeah.
And when was the second time?
I don't know the exact year, but it was after 2014 because I already graduated college. But he had a place in Ocean Township.
And was that similarly a few months or how?
It was a little longer, maybe 6 months, but same thing. Like just he used it to sleep. It wasn't. I saw him every day still. He was over the house still every day.
And so, other than that, your dad lived in your home?
Yes.
Now, had Corey ever been to your house before? Yeah. And how often would you say Corey was at your house?
Like I said before, it really depended on what was going on in his life, but he would pop over occasionally, sporadically.
And did he ever come to the barbecues or the birthdays or anything like that?
Rarely. Not the barbecues, but some birthdays maybe when I was younger. But.
And what about the summer of 2018? Did he come over to your house at all then?
Yeah, he was over a lot more. He was staying at my uncle's house, Uncle Keith's house, so he definitely stopped by my house a lot more.
Were there times when he would stop by and and no one else from your family was home?
Yes.
So he would be there with who?
His kids. He would bring them over to use our pool.
Did Keith have a pool?
Yeah, he had a bigger and better pool with a diving board.
Now, you mentioned Corey's been to your house, so do you know whether Corey's been to your basement before?
Yes.
And were you ever there when Corey was in your basement?
Yes.
What about the unfinished part of your basement?
Yes.
Have you ever personally, in the unfinished part, is that where your dad's guns were located?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever personally seen your dad, like, showing Corey his guns or anything like that?
Yeah.
And now fast forwarding a little bit to the weekend before November 20th, 2018.
Okay.
So, what, if anything, did you do that weekend what, if anything, did you and your dad do together that weekend?
That Sunday, I guess it was the 18th, me and my dad went food shopping for Thanksgiving because every year my dad would cook the food and then we'd bring it over to my uncle's house to eat.
You said every Thanksgiving?
Yeah, after Jesse was born. He was born in November, so that first year he was born, we still had it at my house, but then every year after that, we always had it at my aunt and uncle's house.
And who did the cooking?
My dad. He loved to cook, and he's a great cook.
Okay, so that Sunday you went food shopping with your dad?
Yep, and we got all food, yep.
Okay, and what was the plan was what?
My dad cooks the food on Thanksgiving, and then we'd drive it over and reheat it up at my uncle's house.
And when you say your uncle's house?
Uncle Keith.
Okay. And now, before you went food shopping, but on the 18th, what, if anything, was your dad doing?
My dad was on the computer and he was fixing our Wi-Fi. It was really slow and it was not working right.
And fast forwarding now to the next day, to Monday the 19th. Tell me what you did that day. Tell us what you did that day.
I went to work from 9 to 5, and then I came home and my mom had cooked dinner, so I ate dinner with her. My sister was out shopping for, I forget what, but she came home around 7, and me and my mom were in the living room watching a movie together. And I think my sister stayed down with us for a little while, but she shortly went up to bed. And I didn't have work the next day till like 1:30, so I stayed up a little later, but my mom probably went up to bed around 10, and then I stayed up till probably 11 and went up to bed.
Okay. And what was your dad doing at that time?
By the time I got home, he was already asleep.
Okay. Was that unusual for your dad to be sleeping at that time?
No, just because some days he didn't feel well, so he would sleep.
And when you said you went to bed at 11?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving on to the morning of the 20th. What's the first thing you remember?
First thing I remember was my dad, he was like shaking me awake, and he was saying that the house was on fire and we needed to get out.
And what's the first thing that you see when you wake up?
I turned my lights on and the top half of my room was filled with black smoke.
So then what did you do?
I grabbed my inhaler and I went to go escape the house. And I got to the top of the stairs. And when I got to the top of the stairs, I heard my mom saying, the dogs won't get off the bed. They won't get off the bed. So I called them, and then I finally heard them both jump off the bed. So I decided, started to go down the stairs. And when I went down the stairs around, I was about halfway down, I heard a bang, and my dad screamed, "Fuck my hand."
And where did you go once you got down the stairs?
I went to go out the front door.
And when you went out the front door, what, if anything, did you see?
Before I exited the house, I turned around to make sure that my parents were following me. And I saw my dad turn towards the garage.
Okay. And what did you do once you got outside?
Once I got outside, I called 911.
Do you remember the time that you called 911, the exact time?
Yeah, 4:58 in the morning.
How do you remember that time?
I looked at my call log, but it was also something that stood out to me. It was a scary day.
And so as you're on the phone with 911, what's happening at this point?
I get off my front porch and I go to the grass area and I look towards the garage and I can see that the lights turned on, which means that the garage doors were opening, and then the porch lights came down the driveway.
And was that your dad pulling the car out?
Yeah.
Okay, so from the time that you were exiting your house and you saw your dad going toward the garage to the time that you saw the garage door coming up and the light and the Porsche coming out, how much time had passed?
Under a minute.
And at that time, did you ever see your dad holding a gas can?
No.
Did you ever see your dad trying to light any fires?
No.
Did your dad smell like gasoline?
No.
Now, after your dad was pulling the Porsche out of the driveway, what happens next?
He pulled it in front of the house, and then my sister and the dogs got in the car, and then I hung up with 911, and I waited for my mom to get out of the house.
Okay. Do you recall how long that you were on the phone with 911 for, the exact time?
No.
No. Would seeing a copy of your extraction report refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
I'm going to show what's been marked as D-152. I'm I'm approaching with what's been marked as D152. Do you recognize this as an extraction report from your phone?
Yeah.
And do you see the number that you dialed listed on there?
Yeah, it says 911.
Okay. And do you see the time of the call?
Yeah, 4:58.
Okay, and then I'm just going to direct your attention to the duration. If you want to just read it to yourself and then look up when you're done. Okay. How long did that call to 911 last for?
1 minute and 41 seconds.
Okay. So your dad comes down the driveway, he parks in front of the house somewhere, and then what happens? Does your family get in the car?
My sister and the dogs do, but my mom was still in the house. She went to go grab her shoes, a coat, and the dog's leashes. So I waited for her to get out.
So did she take a couple minutes longer than everyone else?
Yeah.
And you mentioned shoes, a coat, and leashes.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone in your family not have shoes?
Yeah, me, my sister, and my dad all ran out with no shoes.
Okay. And what was your dad wearing?
He was wearing a t-shirt and shorts.
And at some point, like later in the morning, did anyone give you and your sister and your dad clothes?
Yeah, they gave us coats and sneakers. Well, me and my sister coats and sneakers, and I think they gave my dad pants and sneakers.
Okay. And once you're in the car, what happens next?
We waited for the first responders to come.
Okay. And did the first responders come?
Yes.
Okay. And once the first responders get there, what are they doing?
Trying to put out the fire in my house.
And as that's happening, are you and your family inside of the Porsche Cayenne vehicle?
Yes.
And what, if any, phone calls were made?
My dad called both his brothers.
Okay. And so that's Keith and Corey? Mm-hmm. Okay. Who did he call first?
I think my Uncle Keith.
Okay. And did Keith answer?
No.
And so then did he then call Corey?
Yes.
And did Corey answer?
No.
Okay. So then what, if any, additional calls were made?
My sister was the only person that had Elisa's number, so she called her.
Okay. And do you recall the exact time that she called, when you say your sister, is that Marissa?
Marissa, yes.
Okay, do you recall the exact time that she called Elisa?
No.
Okay. Would showing a copy of her call log help refresh your recollection as to the time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to approach with what's been marked as D153. Okay. And you recognize this as your sister's call log?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to direct your attention to the second page here, and specifically this call, and the time would be listed here if you want to take a look at that and then look up when you're done.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what time did your sister call Elisa?
5:43 in the morning.
Okay. Now, during that call that your sister made to Elisa, did your dad speak to Corey?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that call, what happened?
Corey drove to my house.
Okay. And so the call was at 5:43 approximately. How much later did Corey get there? How long did it take him to get there?
Like a half hour later.
Okay, so that would be approximately what time?
6:15, 6:20.
And was it still dark out?
Yes.
And how did Corey get there?
He drove.
What kind of car did he drive?
He had a white Jetta.
Now, do you know where Corey was coming from that morning?
Yeah, he and his family lived in Fairhaven.
And approximately how far away is Fairhaven from your house?
20 to 30 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Like depending on traffic?
Yeah, during the day it takes a little longer because there's no direct route.
And once Corey gets there, approximately how long is he there for?
He stayed until around 9:30 in the morning.
Okay. And at some point, did you go anywhere with Corey?
Yeah, he drove me and my sister to go grab bagels.
And after that, approximately what time did you guys get back from the bagels?
We were probably gone for like a half hour, so maybe. We got back from getting the bagels and he pretty much left. He had an appointment somewhere.
Okay. And so Corey leaves, and then after that, what, if any, additional calls were you making that morning?
I called my Aunt Jen and Uncle Keith a bunch of times.
And when you say you called Aunt Jen and Uncle Keith, like what numbers, not the phone numbers specifically, but like what phones are you calling?
I called my Aunt Jen's cell phone, I called my Uncle Keith's cell phone, I called the house phone, and I called Jesse's iPad.
And of those,
she had all the numbers.
So it was the Keith's phone, Jennifer's phone, the house phone, and Jesse's iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Four phones?
Yeah.
Of those four, did any of them not ring?
Yeah, the house phone went straight to voicemail.
Okay. And so how many times did you call the house line? If you
Just
recall?
once.
Okay. And why did you only call it once?
Because it was off. There was no point.
Okay. So the phones that were ringing, you continued to call?
Yes.
Okay. Approximately in total, how many times would you say you called those phones that morning, like in total?
About 20.
And
No one answered.
And specifically with respect to Jennifer's phone, was her phone ringing?
Yes, it rang normally and then went to voicemail.
What was the approximate time frame that you were calling these phones that morning?
I would say from 9:30ish to 12.
Okay. That's approximate?
Yeah.
Okay. And to your recollection, did Jennifer's phone ring?
Yes.
Were you also sending text messages that morning?
Yeah, I texted my Uncle Keith and I texted my Aunt Jen.
Do you remember the time that you sent your Aunt Jen a text message?
No.
No? Would seeing a copy of the text message with the timestamp help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
I am approaching with what's been marked as D154. Okay. I'm just going to direct your attention to the name. Okay. And the specific text with the timestamp. Okay. Does that help refresh your recollection of what time you sent a text message to your Aunt Jennifer?
Yes.
And what time was that?
10:26 in the morning.
Okay. Now, what kind of phone does your Aunt Jennifer? What kind of phone did your Aunt Jennifer have?
She had an iPhone.
And do you still have that text message in your phone today?
Yes.
And did you look at that text message recently in the past day or two?
Yes.
Now, prior to the last day or two, when was the last time you looked at that text message?
The day I sent it, November 20th, 2018.
So you haven't looked at the message since?
No.
When you looked at it in the last day or two, what, if anything, did you notice about that text message or iMessage? Is it a text message or an iMessage?
It's an iMessage, and it changed from delivered to read.
Okay. So, do you have any idea when that would have changed?
No, I didn't look at it for 7 years.
The fact that it now says read, did that stand out to you?
Yeah, because who read it?
Should have a
Was online to read
timestamp.
it.
There's some talking there. Wasn't provided in Discovery. Her phone was missing.
Back to the scene
The phone was
of
never found.
your house fire. What were you and your family doing while first responders were on scene?
We were in my mom's car, and then we would occasionally use our neighbors' bathrooms.
And which neighbors were you, whose bathrooms were you using?
I personally used Marilyn's, my next door neighbor, and then John Harrington's across the street from me.
And were you speaking to your neighbors during that time as well?
Yes.
At some point, did anyone in your family need something from your house?
Yeah, my dad has diabetes, so he needed the insulin from inside the house.
And were you able to get the medication?
Eventually, yes, but it was difficult to get. I had to keep explaining and going back and forth, trying to say why he needed the medicine. Because they said that they had to take pictures of the whole house and then we would be able to get in, but he needed it sooner than that.
Now, at some point, was there a search? And so ultimately, did he get the medication then?
Yes.
At some point, was there a search of your dad's vehicle?
Yes.
And when I say your dad's vehicle, which vehicle are we talking about?
It was the Porsche Macan loaner.
And you reference it as a loaner because?
His car was in the shop at that time.
Okay. And around what time was the search of your dad's vehicle?
10:40.
And was your dad present for the search?
No, we walked up the driveway to go see, and when we got to the top, they told us we had...
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
When you got to the top of the driveway, were you permitted to stay for the search?
No.
And where were you directed to go?
The street.
And could you see the search from the street?
No.
But were you able to take some photos?
Yes.
Now, during this time, where's Marissa, your sister?
My sister's boyfriend at the time picked her and the dogs up so that the dogs weren't just in the car anymore, and they took them back to his house.
Okay, so your sister left with
her boyfriend at the time. Yep.
And the dogs?
And the dogs.
Okay. And how did she leave?
He picked her up.
Do you know approximately what time this was? Approximate?
I really don't, but I want to say around 10:15, 10:30.
Okay. Now, at some point, was there a request for you to go to the police station?
Yes.
And around what time was that?
11:30, 11:45.
Okay. And did you want to go to the police station at that point?
I had work at 1:30, and we were still in pajamas and random clothes, so we wanted to go change and brush our teeth and then go to the police station.
And were you able to go change and do the things that you wanted to do?
No.
Were you directed to report to the police station?
Yes.
Also, was there a point in time where you wanted to get anything from your car?
Yeah, like I said, I had work that day, and I needed to get my purse and wallet out of my car and some things for work out of it.
Were you permitted to get things out of your car?
No.
And when you were directed to go to the police station, was your sister there, or was she still with her boyfriend?
She was still at her boyfriend's house.
Okay, so did she meet you there?
Yes, she got dropped off a couple minutes after we got there.
And so, in the Porsche Cayenne vehicle, who was in the vehicle, like traveling to the police station together?
Me, my mom, and my dad.
Okay. And was anyone following you?
Yeah, the detectives in like an unmarked car.
When you arrived at the police station, when you were still in your car, what personal items did you have with you?
I had only my cell phone and my inhaler that I grabbed that morning.
And did you leave anything in the car when you went to the police station?
Yes, I left my inhaler in the car.
Why did you leave the inhaler in your car?
The detectives pulled up behind us and said it would only be like a short time to just meet them in the lobby and leave whatever in the car.
They told you to leave things in the car? Yeah. Now, once you get there, how soon after you does your sister get dropped off?
With less than 10 minutes.
Okay. So once your family is there, where in the police station do you go?
It was like through the front door, and there was like a little sitting area, like the lobby.
And do you recall like approximately what, I know it was a long time ago, so we're speaking like general approximations, but approximately what time did you get there?
Probably around 12.
Okay. And how long were you guys in the lobby area for?
Over an hour.
And what, if anything, happened at some point when you were in the lobby?
Like I said before, I had work that day at 1:30, and it was about 1:10-ish, and I was getting impatient, so I went up to the receptionist or secretary or whoever, and I was like, how much longer is this gonna take? And at that time, my dad started screaming and crying that my uncle's house was on fire. And he got a text from Ben saying that he needed to go to my uncle's.
And is that how your dad found out?
Yes.
And so what did you do at that point?
I walked out the front door of the police station and I called my Uncle Corey.
Why did you call Corey?
Because I wanted him to go to my uncle's house and make sure everyone was okay.
And what, if anything, did you try to do at that point?
I had the car keys to my mom's car and I tried to leave to go to my uncle's house.
And were you permitted to leave?
No, the detectives stopped me.
And why were you trying to leave?
Because no one was answering me. Sorry. I wanted to make sure they were okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Defense letting this play out as long as they can.
Ready? So now that you know Keith's house is on fire, what happens next?
I go back into the police station and they start bringing us like downstairs to the main, I guess, area of the police station. And I was just like panicking. I was telling them my uncle's address, like they had to do something. And they were being very vague and kind of just hinted that they knew already and it was being taken care of.
Okay. And where did they bring you?
It's like down a couple steps into like the main area of the police station, I guess. It's a bunch of cubicles that I guess the detectives worked at. And then we were seated in like a conference room, I guess. It was a long table with numerous chairs. Me and my sister sat next to each other, and then my dad and mom sat across from us.
Okay. And if, again, I know it's a long time, so just an approximate, but approximately how long were you in the conference room for?
I would say over 45 minutes, but I'm not sure. I don't remember.
What are you doing what are you personally doing while you're in the conference room?
I asked them about their Wi-Fi because there was no cell service down there, and they kind of just, like, I guess not said, but there was no Wi-Fi password, so I somehow got onto their Wi-Fi, and I was Googling my uncle's house and just looking at live updates.
Okay, so you were able to access, like, media and through Google?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I asked you this, but approximately what time is it when you get down to the conference room? Approximately.
Like 1:20.
And so what, if anything, are you learning through the media when you're searching things?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
the media coverage, what did it regard your uncle's house?
Judge, I'm object to hearsay.
I'll allow that question, but no further as it relates to what the media is saying.
Yeah, just specific, just the only question is like, did it regard
Yes.
your uncle's house? And now, at some point, while you're in the conference room, what is the demeanor of your family? How is everyone doing at this point?
All really upset. We're all crying. My dad's like struggling to breathe. He's crying. My mom's hysterical. I'm crying.
And at some point, did they remove you from the conference room?
Yes. They took me into an interrogation room.
Why are you calling it an interrogation room?
That's what they referred to it as, and it was a small room with white walls and a desk and a chair, and then no windows.
When they took you out of the conference room, did they take anyone else out of the conference room?
Yeah, they called me and my mom at the same time, and my sister and my dad were still in the conference room.
And did they put you and your mom together in a room?
No,
or
we
did
went into
they
separate rooms.
Separate interrogation rooms?
Mm-hmm.
And so who's in the room with you at that point?
2 detectives.
And what's happening now?
They started asking me questions, and the first question they asked me was if I knew who was shot outside of my uncle's house.
That's one
What
way
was
to
your
start.
response?
I started screaming and crying. Because I obviously knew it was my uncle at that point.
I obviously knew.
Did they continue to ask you questions?
Yeah.
And when they were asking you questions, how long did this last for?
At least an hour.
And during the time that they're asking you questions, what, if anything, are you asking them?
I keep asking them if my cousins are okay, and no one would give me an answer. I kept asking to leave, and they said as soon as I give my statement.
And was there anything else? Were you under the impression that your cousins were located somewhere?
Yeah, they basically told me that once I gave my statement, they would take me to them. At whatever hospital they were at.
After they asked you some questions, now, did you give a statement in this case, like a typed statement?
When I was in this room, no, but they took me in another room later, and yes, that's when I gave a formal statement.
So the questions that you're referencing now, is that the same as your typed
None of
statement or
those.
different?
Different, completely different.
So the statement comes later?
Yes.
So now it's just questions, lasts for about an hour. And at some point, did the detectives leave the room?
Yeah, they left the room.
And what happens after they leave the room?
I was in there for a while, so I had to use the bathroom. So I tried to leave, and the door was locked, so I started banging on the door until someone opened it. And then they kind of were like, well, they escorted me to the bathroom at that point.
And after you went to the bathroom, then what happens next?
They escorted me back into like the main area of the police station with all the cubicles.
And were you with your family? Or
No, we were all separated at this point. I could see into the conference room, and I saw my dad's back. My sister was no longer in the conference room.
At some point, did they take your statement?
Yes.
And do you recall approximately what time they finally took your statement?
I don't.
Would seeing a copy of your statement refresh your recollection as to the time? I have, I marked as D151, if I can approach.
Okay.
Do you recognize this? I'll take this one. As a copy of your statement?
Yeah.
Okay, does it have your name on it?
Yes.
And it's, looks like 8 pages long?
Yep.
And I think you...
Yeah.
Okay. And does it have a start time and an end time?
Yeah, it starts at 3:40 and then looks like it ends at 5:21.
Approximately 2 hours?
Yeah.
So at around 3:40, they start to take your statement. And after you gave your statement, what, if anything, did you learn at that point?
They finally confirmed that they all died.
And when you say they, who are you referring to?
My aunt, my uncle, and my 2 cousins.
And who confirmed this?
One of the detectives.
After you gave your statement, approximately how much longer were you at the police station for?
5.5 hours.
And for the entire duration, I know you mentioned earlier when you first found out that your uncle's house was on fire, you tried to leave, right? At any other point during the time that you were at the police station, did you make any other attempts to leave?
Yeah, at one point I had a panic attack and I wanted my inhaler, which was in the car, and they wouldn't let me get it. They just brought me outside to breathe fresh air.
Were you asking to leave at all?
Yes, the whole time.
And did they let you leave?
No.
What time did you ultimately leave the police station that night?
Around 11 p.m.
And did you express any concerns when you were leaving?
Yeah, we were scared. So we wanted to know that we were safe. And they kind of just dismissed us.
Is there anything else you want the jury to know about that day?
I'm going to object, Judge, to
I'm
that
going to
question.
sustain that objection. That's a question.
Calls for a narrative.
It needs to be a little bit more specific, please.
Was that day a hard day?
It was the hardest day of my life.
What about the day you saw that your dad's
Just
car
want
was
to
on
talk about
video?
a couple other things now. You mentioned earlier Jesse's iPad.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this first. Did anyone in Keith, Jennifer, in their family share their locations with you?
Jesse.
And was that tied to his iPad?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did you check the location of that iPad?
Yeah, in February of 2019.
Okay, so this is a couple months later.
Yeah.
And where was when you checked the location, what was the location?
I'm going to object to the hearsay of this.
Can I see everyone, please?
That's not hearsay. I don't think that's the right objection. But it's about to get spicy if she's about to say that it was at Corey's house and the iPad went missing and the wife's phone, Jennifer's phone, went missing. She's already testified that Jennifer's phone, which was not found at the scene, was never found, she texted at, 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 in the morning to Jennifer, didn't get an answer, and then sometime between then and now, the message was read by the wife's phone, which she doesn't know when that happened. So she's got that, and now we've got this iPad with the location sharing turned on, and she's about to testify where the iPad was. If she says it was at Corey's house, see if the judge allows this line of questioning in. I don't think it's hearsay, because it's not like the iPad is an out-of-court statement. Maybe it's not really a witness that way. Might have to be admitted properly, but okay. What are we waiting for?
Wait till he sees what he says.
The judge is keeping us in suspense.
No, it's not. Exactly. Yeah.
I believe we have court staff whispering. Lots of people walking back and forth. Bailiffs moving around. Bless you. We have no idea what's going on. This is crazy. Corey is the other brother, the little brother, not involved in the business. Also named on the life insurance policy or the trust.
Jim.
I'm listening intently to hear what I can out of this hot mic, but can't make heads or tails of it. I did not see Corey. I didn't see him come in. I don't know who said that. The last thing we heard was an objection to hearsay of something she saw on an iPad on Find My Device or shared location for Jesse's iPad. Then we had a sidebar, and then this, whatever this is. I heard the word extraction in there. Just idle chatter. And now it's muted. I can't figure out what they're doing. This is wild. Just full stop. In the middle of a court case. I don't know if the jury's here or not. I didn't see anybody stand up to let them leave. What is the time here? It's 3:36. This would be the strongest evidence yet to point the finger at Corey. Looks like she's back there. And we've gone to break. I just don't get it. I don't know what's going on in this trial. I don't know if that was the daughter that walked by back onto the stand, or if that was some of the staff, courtroom staff. Taking a look to see if there's any updates on the Nancy Guthrie situation. Haven't seen anything there. We'll check the email for anything from Pima County. And nothing new from Pima County either. The deadline is looming. Just a handful of hours left before that Monday afternoon or Monday evening deadline that was included in that ransom note. Last we heard, nothing has been paid yet. Some people are asking, how would TMZ have access to the Bitcoin wallet to report it's still empty? Well, if they gave the address for the wallet it was going into, you could look it up on the blockchain. And everyone who had that, and TMZ was one of the people who had that note. So. We need the judge to provide a little clarity here. What happens after the deadline? I don't know. I don't know what the penalty was or the ultimatum attached to each deadline, or why they had two deadlines, honestly. One deadline would make sense, but if you don't do it by one time, we will do X, Y, Z. If you don't do it by this time, we'll do another. Is it the ransom amount went up after the first deadline if you didn't meet it? Now you owe $6 million instead of $5 million? I don't know. Is there any media in court you have access to? Not on this one. I don't have any court watchers that are present. There's a new video from Savannah right now. Just posted. Let's listen.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers, and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
Wow. That is the latest from Savannah Guthrie. And doesn't sound like It doesn't sound to me like that is a message that was intended for a kidnapper, like a speaking to a ransom, response to a ransom note. It also sounds like they're not going to pay. That's wild. The police have not made any comments for a day or so. It did sound desperate and almost defeated. My Crime Time says his sister's in the courtroom and Corey came in and was escorted out. Did I miss that? I'm sorry, My Crime Time. My Crime Time, I agree. I think we heard that. We heard a whisper during right as that was presented, when they said something about wasn't given in discovery. Yes, I know, but chat goes super fast sometimes, and sometimes I just can't keep up with it, especially if I'm looking, watching the response on the video or something directly. I just missed it. That's on me. Interesting, if he was escorted out, that means that he's on the witness list. But it's also interesting that he is not exempt as a victim. Oftentimes a victim is exempt from the sequestration rule, and they can stay in court even if they are called to testify. This is just getting wild. I do wonder what's going on. Usually immediate family members are deemed victims and can watch a trial even if they are called to testify. Sometimes the court will call for a designated victim representative that will be present and not allow all the victims in court. But I don't know what the setup is for this. Daughter's been there the whole time too. I'm not good enough with faces to be able to vouch for that. She does look familiar, I can tell you that. My audio is a little bit low. Sorry, it's just I'm trying to focus on everything at the same time. Corey or Keith's parents would be next of kin. The closest ones for sure. Defense team was not happy to see him. Can you imagine? Whoa! Let's turn the camera that direction. Daughter wasn't allowed in this morning. Did they give a reason as to why? It doesn't look like the courtroom has been overfilled or like over capacity. Keith was a year apart from Paul. They were just 1 year apart. think someone's made a mistake and now it's all a mess. It does sound like it's hitting the fan right now, whatever it is. If this was a sneaky move on the part of the defense to try to get this in without the prosecution knowing, that could cause major problems for the trial. They have a responsibility to turn over witness some information as well. Discovery is you can't do ambush. You can't do an ambush like that. Will court break for the day? It's possible. Depends on what's happening here. The judge is, I believe, off the bench right now. You can see the back of his chair, and it's not moving. So, going to try to keep an eye on that and what's going on with Nancy Guthrie. Deadline tonight. I feel like the captors are playing games, says Laurie with Savannah and family. You can't tell if there's really an abductor or an abductor can't provide proof of life, so went quiet. Today's deadline is 5 p.m. Hope they find out who's writing all the notes. I think they came via email, which might give them some sort of leads to chase down, but this is it's getting like a trial on General Hospital. Yeah, but the commercial breaks are just too long. It's possible that this was just combined into an afternoon break. And this is not as big a deal as we expected, but the timing of it and the back-to-back, the way it's sort of accelerated, and the drama and the chatter says otherwise. Did see the news that Scripps is buying Court TV. Scripps is the company, the parent company that owns Law and Crime is buying Court TV, so now be housed under the same parent. Not sure if there will be a combination of the two units or they'll still operate separately. But I imagine when it comes to acquiring feeds, they'll probably be sharing more. Miss Patches, I'm also not cool. I wish they would let us know a little bit, but they don't always have that consideration. Trying to get a guesstimate of how long they've been at break. And I think we've been over 15 minutes. It could be a judge's rule. It's possible that a victim might not be able to be there for certain testimony, like family members' testimony until they testify. But I'm not aware of the pretrial agreement regarding that. If I call, maybe court will come back. It's true the defense has wanted to approach instead of do open court discussions. Even when the jury's out of the room, they like to approach. This feels shady. Just looking back at the testimony we did get from Caitlin Caneiro, Paul's daughter, here on the stand, recounting her experience, starting with being woken up by her dad early in the morning, saying the house is on fire, you need to get out, and turning on the light and seeing that smoke had filled the top half of her room. A couple things struck me. First of all, that they left the house and mom just stayed in there and she was just waiting outside for mom. It's like, well, mom's going to come out in a while. She's getting some stuff. If the house is half full of smoke and mom's upstairs where smoke would go higher, that just seems weird. You're like, yeah, well, she's coming. We woke her up. Just hang on. That's strange. Also, she seems to have a chip on her shoulders against investigators and police. Now, I realize a lot of people want to know everything immediately, especially if they're closely involved in a case, and the police don't share that. But she's mad about how long it took and about work, of all things. And we're talking about bagels and just it just seems strange. Seems strange. We didn't have any shoes, and we did, clothes. We were in our jammies, and I had to go to work. I'm like, that's what you're worried about right now? I've got work. My house is on fire. Your boss might understand if you're late, even at a hospital. My house just burned down. Paul's daughter is presently on the stand. Last we heard, there was one objection because she was about to testify the hearsay of looking on her phone to see the last known location of Jesse's iPad, which my understanding was never found in the fire. See if we can rewind just a bit here and let's catch it on. Let me go on 7. Let me get it set up on 7. Just 1 second. I just say, for the record, I hate the new iOS Tahoe. It's no bueno. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're going to replay just for a second what happened here.
Yes, your uncle's house. And
Some replay.
Now, at some point, while you're in the conference room, what is the demeanor of your family? How is everyone doing at this point?
all really upset. We're all crying. My dad
Point did they reach
skip
a desk and a chair.
When they were asking you questions, how long did this last for?
Okay, this is still talking bad about the cops.
That you're referencing now, is that the same as your type
None of
statement
those
or different?
Different, completely different.
So the statement comes later.
Yes.
So now it's just questions. Lasts for about an hour. And
into the conference room, and I saw my dad's back. My sister was no longer in the conference room.
Okay, so she's given her statement. She's
at
talking.
some point, did they take your statement?
Yes.
And do you recall approximately what time they finally took your statement?
I don't.
Would seeing a copy of your statement refresh your recollection as to the time? I marked as D151.
Refresh your recollection.
Anything did you learn at that point?
They finally confirmed that they all died.
And when you say they, who are you referring to?
I am, my uncle, and my 2 cousins.
She cries, Paul cries.
One of the detectives.
After you gave your statement, approximately how much longer were you at the police station for?
5.5 hours.
And for the entire duration, I know you mentioned earlier when you first found out that your uncle's house was on fire, you tried to leave, right? At any other point during the time that you were at the police station, did you make any other attempts to leave?
Yeah, at one point I had a panic attack and I wanted my inhaler, which was in the car, and they wouldn't let me get it. They just brought me outside to breathe fresh air.
Were you asking to leave at all?
Yes, the whole time.
And did they let you leave?
No.
Was she under arrest?
What time did you ultimately leave the police station that night?
Around 11 p.m.
And
this is still a
express any
replay.
concerns when you were leaving?
Yeah, we were scared. So we wanted to know that we were safe. And they kind of just dismissed us.
Is there anything else you want the jury to know about that?
This is objective.
I'm going to object, Judge, to
I'm going to
that.
sustain that objection. That's the question. It needs to be a little bit more specific, please.
Was that day a hard day?
It was the hardest day of my life.
Okay, we heard this.
I just want to talk about a couple other things now. You mentioned earlier Jesse's iPad.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this first. Did anyone in Keith, Jennifer, in their family share their locations with you?
Jesse.
And was that tied to his iPad?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did you check the location of that iPad?
Yeah, in February of 2019.
Okay, so this is a couple months later.
Yeah.
And where was when you checked the location, what was the location?
I'm going to object to the hearsay of this.
Can I see everyone, please?
Okay, I think that's the last we heard. Oh, okay, looks like the judge is coming back in real time. Let's see what we got here.
Based upon this legal issue that was just brought to my attention, I'm going to give both sides until 10 p.m. tonight to find to brief this issue. I'm not sure that this is a state versus tier issue. I need more time to look at it. It would have been nice for somebody to put me on notice, but it is what it is. So I'm going to give both sides until 10 o'clock tonight to find a brief, and I will address it tomorrow morning. I'm going to bring the jurors in a little bit later. This will not slow down what our plans were for later this week. It may just be that there won't be a day off in between the end of the cases and summations. Can you ask the jurors to come out?
Judge, can I just ask what the issue that we're briefing is?
The issue of not telling the state of what you were about to elicit.
Failure to disclose. Somebody's getting in trouble.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize to you. I think from the beginning of this case, from day one, I've tried every single day I don't try to leave you in there for extended periods of time. I try to keep the case moving and try to deal with any legal issues outside the time frame of the court day. Unfortunately, there's something that was only just brought to my attention, so I didn't have the opportunity to do this in advance, and I'm going to need a little bit more time. So the reality is that I'm going to send you home for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back tomorrow morning. Instead of coming back here at 8 o'clock, I'm just going to ask for you to be here at 9 o'clock. That should give me enough time, even if I get you up by 9:30, it still gives me an hour here without you being here to get things done and put on the record. And then we'll get started back up. So I apologize to you for your time, for making you sit in there for a little bit longer. I will bring you back tomorrow, 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, and we'll continue on. Please don't discuss this case. Don't do any research. Don't try to figure out what the legal issues are. That's for me to do. Remember, you're the fact finders. It's my job to deal with the law. So I hope you have a nice night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
The jury is done for the day. The judge is not happy. I wonder if he's going to talk a little bit more before he actually wraps up, as we sort of listen in a bit. Judge, could I ask what the issue is we're briefing you about by 10 o'clock tonight? What happened, Judge? All innocent like. You just tried to elicit information from a witness without disclosing that you had this information. Clearly you knew it was coming. When did you know about it? What the judge can do because of this failure to disclose, he can rule that this evidence can't come in. But the problem is, if it's exculpatory and it's
record purposes, due to a proffer that was provided based upon an objection by the state, research was done on state versus tier, which is 228 NJ 555, 2017 opinion. I'm not sure that state versus tier contemplated the scenario that we're in this case as it relates to this type of evidence. So everybody knows what the proffer was based upon what Ms. Mastalone said at sidebar. So that's the issue that I need to be briefed as to where we're going. And then I'll ask everyone to be back here at 8 a.m. and I will come out soon thereafter and I'll hear oral argument at that time. But again, submissions to me by 10 o'clock tonight, no later. If it comes in at 10:01, I'm not accepting it. And we'll see where we are at that point in time. Now I'll see attorneys at sidebar, please.
Now come up for your whooping. He's not happy. The state, the judge really hasn't given an indication which way he's going to go. He knows we have a problem here, but he's sort of let on that the state said you've objected based on state versus tier. I'm not familiar with that case law, but he says I don't think that's the right case law, but there is a problem. So you all go home, do your case law homework, and then come back and we'll talk. I'll go home. That's how it ends. We all go home. So we won't know until tomorrow how this is going to end. Going back and looking at the moment when she looked backwards in the courtroom, that's right here. Don't think there was anyone in the back that she was upset about. And then I'll skip ahead and show you that part where the judge gave the little slap down, or smack down as the case may be. Let's back up just a teensy bit. So the judge comes back in. Tells the jury that there's a problem. I'm going to skip through that a little bit.
I think I'll try to leave issues. Was only just brought to my attention, so I didn't have the opportunity to do this in advance, and I'm going to need a little bit more time. So the reality is that I'm going to send you home for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back tomorrow morning. Instead of coming back here at 8 o'clock, I'm just going to ask for you to be here at 9 o'clock. That should give me enough time, even if I get you up by 9:30, it still gives me an hour here without you being here to get things done and put on the record, and then we'll get started back up. So I apologize to you for your time, for making you sit in there for a little bit longer. I will bring you back tomorrow, 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, and we'll continue on. Please don't discuss this case. Don't do any research. Don't try to figure out what the legal issues are. That's for me to do. Remember, you're the fact finders. It's my job to deal with the law. So I hope you have a nice night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
I think it was before this. I have to skip back just a little bit.
Until 10 p.m. tonight to find it. Based upon this legal issue that was just brought to my attention, I'm going to give both sides until 10 p.m. tonight to find it, to brief this issue. I'm not sure that this is a state versus tier issue. I need more time to look at it. It would have been nice for somebody to put me on notice, but It is what it is. So I'm going to give both sides until 10 o'clock tonight to find a brief, and I will address it tomorrow morning. I'm going to bring the jurors in a little bit later. This will not slow down what our plans were for later this week. It may just be that there won't be a day off in between the end of the cases and summations. Can you ask the jurors to come out?
Which apparently is going to be this week.
Ask what the issue that we're briefing is.
The issue of not telling the state of what you were about to elicit.
Someone's about to get a whooping. The issue of not telling the state what you're about to elicit. She glances over. Let's see if they make eye contact. So. Look at the face of the silent guy. You know the silent guy? Okay, he's on the far left, right above me, right here. Okay, watch him.
Issue that we're briefing is.
The issue of not telling the state of what you were about to elicit.
Watch his face. He's quite happy about it. He's got a big smile on his face. Oh, all right. Well, that leaves us in a little bit of limbo land. Not sure how this is going to go forward. If this is, I mean, this could be huge. I would say if this is what it appears to be, which we anticipate that the defense is going to say that Caitlin looked on her phone, said, "Find my devices." She looked for the shared location of Jesse's iPad, and this was months after the fire. It was never found in the fire, just like the wife's phone was not found in the fire. And if she finds that iPad and finds it at Corey's house, what does that say? It's huge. It would be huge. How do you account for the other stuff though? How do you account for the car? Paul's Porsche driving to and from the scene of the crime in the middle of the night. Did Corey come and steal the Porsche and then come and return it and make a clean getaway? Does prosecution know the answer? I'm sure they do. Because that question, if she has shared Find My Device on Jesse's laptop and it checks in and shows where it was last at, with the date of when it was there, and that date is after the fire and it's at Corey's house, that would be very bad for Corey. It would be, I would say, very difficult for, not impossible, but very difficult for Paul to have arranged for, to make sense, considering how quickly he was taken into custody. Yeah. Why would he have the iPad? All right, we're gonna end it there, and we'll be sitting here and just think to ourselves of what possibly could be going on. This defense is sneaky. Yeah, they know they didn't turn this over. Is it a problem? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, we're going to hear some answers tomorrow. The case is going forward. The judge says we are expecting summations, that's closings, here this week. And now because of this, we might not get a day off between the last day of trial and the first day of summations. So I'm okay with that. All right, I will keep up to date on the Nancy Guthrie updates as we hear them. We shared that last video for you. That's all we've got. That's the latest. Haven't heard anything from the police department, who have told us they're going to update us anytime they have new information, and nothing has come in the last 24 hours. So tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning. They're going to start late, which means we're going to be here probably 8:30 or 8:45. Does that work? Works for you. All right. You guys have a good night. We'll see you.